No matter how you slice it, the Brooklyn Nets super team era was a colossal failure. Regardless of where you distribute the blame, not even making the conference finals in the Kevin Durant era and losing 3 Hall of Fame superstars in the span of 1 year is pretty inexcusable. And when you consider the fact that the Rockets have control of the Nets' future picks, and that the Nets didn't get fair value for their stars, the future looked pretty bleak. Or that's at least what we thought. Since the NBA trade deadline, Mikal Bridges has been a revelation, playing easily the best basketball of his career and looking like a future perennial all-star. Cam Johnson has also looked great with increased opportunity in Brooklyn, and with other young guys like Nic Claxton having a career season and the mysterious case of Ben Simmons looming, the Nets' future is actually pretty interesting. In this video, we'll discuss how the Brooklyn Nets might find themselves in a very advantageous situation, and also discuss the things that could inevitably still hold the franchise back to some extent. But before we begin, be sure to leave a like on the video, as each like makes a tremendous difference for the channel. Also, be sure to sub to the channel for even more content like this. When the Nets officially traded Kevin Durant at the NBA trade deadline, I'd say that most of us, if not all of us, agreed that the Nets didn't get adequate value. Sure, the Nets were getting 2 younger quality wings and draft compensation, but when you're dealing a top 20 player of all time that's still averaging 30 points per game on the season, you'd hope that the centerpiece of that trade package wouldn't be Mikal Bridges. Bridges was the Iron Man of the Phoenix Suns and more, as he quite literally hadn't missed a game in his career, was runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year a season ago, and overall was one of the best role players in the entire league. However, Bridges has taken a step further in Brooklyn. Actually, he's been sensational in Brooklyn, and that might be an understatement. He's averaging 26 points and 5 rebounds on 51% from the field, 49% from 3 on 5 attempts a game, and is shooting 90% from the free throw line on 6 free throw attempts a game. Given the fact that Bridges played more off-ball when surrounded by Booker and CP3, he's continued to show his value as an off-ball player in Brooklyn. He continues to move well off the ball and is willing to hit catch-and-shoot threes, as he's attempting 4 catch-and-shoot threes a game in Brooklyn and is hitting an insane 50% of them. Moreover, we're seeing more and more of Bridges' value on the ball as well, which further morphs him into a potential NBA All-Star. He's increased his volume of pull-up jumpers in both mid-range and from 3, and the fact that he shot very well from both puts defenders on their toes. He's shooting 2 pull-up 3-pointers a game and is shooting 47% on them, and for mid-range, he's shooting 47% on those on 3 attempts a game. Additionally, Bridges is taking defenders head on and completely gets to his spots on the floor. He's getting to and finishing well at the rim in the half court and in transition, and he's attempting more threes off the dribble. We saw a combination of all of this in his 45 points explosion against the 5th defensive rated team in the Miami Heat. And all of these high scoring outings from Bridges means that he's getting more attention from defenses. Attention, I might add, that he's using to demonstrate his playmaking ability. He's demonstrated his ability as a shot creator, as he's setting up others on kick-out opportunities, and even setting up Nic Claxton for lobs. Bridges' great presence on and off the ball makes him so adaptable with other stars and other players in general, and just makes him such a core piece of what the Nets could be trying to build for the future. I'm in no way saying that Bridges is a one-on-one replacement for KD, but this is definitely a better return than what the Nets could have hoped for. He's only 26 years old, he's still scratching the surface of what he could potentially be, and he's still on a really good contract given his current play. Along with Bridges in that KD trade was wing Cam Johnson, another player that excelled off the ball in Phoenix. Cam shot 39% from 3 for his career. While he hasn't shot as well since joining the Nets, his ability to take a high volume of threes at a high clip makes him such a valuable piece. He's shooting 6 catch-and-shoot threes a game and hitting 40% of them. He's driving to the rim more. He's averaging 17 points on the season since being a Net, and he's still a good wing defender. Another great defender on this Nets roster is no other than Nic Claxton, who's having the best season of his career and has demonstrated to be one of the better interior defenders in our game. Claxton, who's only 23 years old by the way, is averaging 12 points and 9 rebounds on 71% shooting and is averaging 2.6 blocks per game, which is good for second best in the entire league. Claxton is such a plus defender because he doesn't just chase blocks in the paint. Rather, he uses his great instincts, timing, and 7'3" wingspan to alter shots in the paint. Claxton is actually agile enough to take on assignments on guards like Terry Rozier, Fred VanVleet, etc., and that adds to why Claxton is one of the better, more versatile defenders in this league. At the NBA trade deadline, the move that the Nets made even before dealing KD was trading Kyrie Irving to Dallas Mavericks, and in that trade, they received Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith. Dinwiddie has been solid in his return to the Nets, averaging 19 points and 7 assists a game, and while Dorian Finney-Smith hasn't shot well at all in Brooklyn, I do expect him to be a valuable 3-and-D piece moving forward. With the aforementioned pieces and multiple first and swaps that the Nets acquired from the Suns, the Nets have the building blocks or even trade assets to set them up well for the future. However, there are two very interesting situations that the Nets have on their hands, one of which is Ben Simmons' enormous contract. Ben Simmons was the centerpiece in that James Harden trade of 2022, and he was supposed to be the Nets' point guard of the future. He did sit out of 2022, but when he last played in 2021, he was a top 5 point guard and all-star and was one of the better playmakers and defenders in the entire league. 6'10" point guards don't grow on trees, and even though he wasn't a floor spacer, the spacing surrounding him would have been optimal to fully optimize his tremendous game. But since suiting up for the Nets, Ben Simmons is a far cry from what he once was. He's averaging a mere 7 points per game since being in Brooklyn, he hasn't been aggressive, he's missed 10 straight games due to knee soreness and inflammation in his back, and is owed $35 million this season and $78 million over the next 2 seasons. I do feel for Ben given the struggles that he definitely has coming back from that back injury, as well as the fan and media criticism of his play. But just as important, the Nets have to be patient with him. His trade value is at an all-time low, and teams will force the Nets to give them draft compensation to take on his deal. It will take time, and not having Ben Simmons obviously hurts their chances of winning in the immediate future. But if he can come back healthy and rejuvenated, the best of Ben Simmons is without a doubt one of the best players in the NBA. The second situation the Nets have on their hands is Cam Thomas's sudden drop in minutes as of late. Cam Thomas was really going off when Kyrie was initially traded, averaging 45 points on 56% from the field and 56% from 3, while getting to the line 13 times a game in the first 3 games since the trade. But over his last 5 games, he's only played 14 minutes a game. What you need to keep in mind here is that while Cam was going off, that wasn't with Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson on the team. And when all the new acquisitions began to fill out the rotation, Cam's game wasn't that conducive of a very successful starting 5. He can definitely be a ball stopper on offense given his more isolation style of play, and his poor defense doesn't help either. Thus, Vaughn and the coaching staff found it best to place him as a spark plug off the bench, which could allow him to further develop. Should Cam Thomas be getting more minutes for this team? Yes, definitely, as playing 5, 6, or 7 minutes like he's been playing as of late doesn't do much for development. But him putting it all together and developing to operate more off the ball will bode well for him and the Nets moving forward. Overall, the Brooklyn Nets have a very interesting future for pieces that have already shaped out to be promising and pieces that can pan out to be key contributors. They're currently 5th in the Eastern Conference, they have a good coach in Jacques Vaughn, and they seem to be building some direction. And if they can put it all together, we might be looking at a prominent force in the Eastern Conference. With that being said, be sure to let me know how you feel about the Brooklyn Nets in the comments section down below. With how well Mikal Bridges is playing as of right now, do you think that he has NBA All-Star potential? Also, what do you believe his ceiling to be? Additionally, with other core pieces like Nic Claxton continuing to get better, how high of a ceiling do you think this Nets team actually has? Let me know in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on the video, as each like makes a tremendous difference for the channel. Also, be sure to sub to the channel for even more content like this. Hope to see you all in the next one, and stay tuned.